men's basketball team for 3 years, 4 years, and this last year, winning the state and conference championships. So, Steve, come on up.
Thank you, Debbie. So, Debbie said I get 5 minutes, so if somebody asks you to set a timer. I got a lot to say about this school, and a lot to say about a lot of the people that I got to work with here, but I do want to recognize the amazing leadership that we had, and I know that Tom Brigham did an amazing job when he was here, and I'm fortunate for what he built here. But a lot of us were extremely fortunate for Debbie. She was always organizing things, making stuff happen. She took care of the kids. She was more than just an athletic director. She was a mom to these kids. She was a teacher. Heck, she was a mom to us coaches too. I mean, she just took care of everything. Through the highs and lows, and she was always very organized. And get to the end of the year, and most athletic directors in the conference, they retired, and okay, let's call it a year. But not Debbie. She mustered up the energy to have these amazing banquets at the end of the year for all the athletics that we had every year. And then she organized this year today. And I think those of you that know her, you understand how important she was to this school, and in particular the athletic program. And just like to get a nice warm thank you for them. So I also want to thank Debbie for having some good food. My wife put me on keto diet back in March 12th. That's the first real food I've had. So I told her not to come tonight because she would have made me eat probably nothing. But anyway, we had some wonderful times in this gym, and a lot of you did too, coaches and players. One of the things that I think is really important is to look at how important it was for this part of the lives of the people that we taught. Think back to when you were 17 or 18 years old. Did you know really what you wanted to do? I know I did. I knew I wanted to keep playing sports, and I was an average, maybe a slightly better than average athlete, but I wasn't great. I wasn't going to play anymore. I was a good student, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. And then I went to a 2-year college, and everything changed. Met my wife, found a direction, been teaching high school math for 36 years. You guys here have impacted thousands and thousands of lives like I have. And you've made a huge difference in those lives. I really am heartbroken that this is coming to an end, and I was trying to think why, because we should celebrate all the positives that we have and all the great experiences that have happened here at UW in Washington County for 56 years. I think I'm most heartbroken for the future students. As a high school teacher for 36 years, and I think I have maybe 10 more to go, I always told the kids to go to the 2-year colleges. You're gonna find yourself in a 2-year college, and you're gonna save some money and stuff like that, and you won't regret it. And I don't know where to send them. So it's a generation that's gonna miss out on that. But you guys had so much positive things in their lives, and enough cannot be said for that and how important that was. And what a great school. You go to the library, you see deer, you see all kinds of animals out there. We want to thank everybody for what you did. And I know I told her I wouldn't talk for more than 5 minutes. I'm not going to mention every person, but I know that the players that I got to coach here were very special to me. I enjoyed the practices actually more than the games because it was great to be out there with them and interacting with them. And I really liked our sessions after practice where we'd go in the classroom and I could teach them some math. I love my time with the math teachers here. The math department was great at UW Washington County, and I like to teach the kids a little bit extra and help them for their grades. grades are always important to all of us coaches. So, but I want to thank everybody for the impact that you've had. You've been tremendous, and we will never forget the efforts that you've had. It's a great building, but what I've always said is it's only great because of the people that are here. And we had the best of people here, students, faculty, administrators, and coaches. So thank you so much, and God bless UW Washington County.
Up next is Mark Wolf, the soccer coach.
Well, what a great turnout we had tonight. It's wonderful. When I helped Debbie set up yesterday, we set up the trophies and all that stuff. She was hoping for 125. I think we exceeded that amount, and it's wonderful to see some old faces, familiar faces, to see some old professors that, believe it or not, they were here when I was here back in 1972. And it's outstanding, especially, I'm going to talk about that one man in a little while, and he's a humble man, but it's well worth it that we need to recognize that. So, anyways, I played soccer here from 72 to 74. It was a unique time because I just heard Steve say about, playing in this wonderful building. This building didn't come to be until 1984. So, all the old soccer players, if you can remember, we basically sat out in the lobby. Coach would tape us up there. People would walk in, you have that nice aroma of the locker room, and it really was like, oh boy. And then we'd walk down to the soccer field. So it was one of those things where I think it was a small room over here, right? That was the athletic room. I think it was a custodian's closet, but he finally talked about it. Tom's office was at the top of the stairs over here. Mr. D's office was right next door, so it was very convenient. If we had just a little time to kill, I know we should have been studying, but anyways, we had time to kill, we'd stop in by Professor D, or we'd stop in by Coach. And there were doors all open. So it was a great time. The team, the thing about back in 72 to 74, you had a lot of service people that were coming back. And at that point, Uncle Sam was paying them money to come back. So on our soccer team, we had a lot of veterans, a lot of older people. So we had 18, 19 years old, and we had older people, 24, if that's old, 24, 26. And you would think that would be hard to mesh, but it really worked out well. In fact, there's a little, this was my present that he gave to me. This is the first soccer team that we had on here. Surprisingly, Judy yesterday asked me all the names on here. Out of this whole thing, I only forgot 2 people. That's 52 years ago, so I think that's pretty good. So through this whole thing, we had a camaraderie. We did a lot of things together. The thing about it was that we didn't win a lot of games. First year we were 2-7-1. The second year we were 3-5-2. So we gained a little bit of time. But remember, we went against some schools like Barron County and Marathon and Wausau that had a foreign exchange program going with Saudi Arabia and a lot of the schools. So most of their players were just a slightly bit better skilled than what we were. But we always played a lot of games, and we had a lot of fun. One of the coaches, well, Tom was one of the coaches, and one of the coaches that was not with us anymore, Sammy Side. Sammy Side came from Lebanon, Lebanon. He played soccer over there. He played goalie. He played for the American University, is that right? Was a very good soccer coach. He got his PhD, I think, in 1971, and then he was hired in 72. So he came into the program. And it was always so neat for him because he always had a different perspective. And he always taught you something new. Interesting, at one of our programs that we were talking about, Coach Brigham gave Sammy a hard time because I didn't notice, but they had statisticians, and they said we had 136 fouls that year. Tripping, pushing, and foul language. And I'm going like, well, foul language. Well, then I remembered that we'd ask Dr. Saad to teach us some Lebanese words. You know, that kind of wasn't derogatory, but you know, instead of saying a bad word here, well, all of a sudden we'd get a yellow card because the officials knew exactly what we were saying. So we weren't fooling anybody on that line. So it was really a special time and everything along that way. So quickly, we've talked about everything that we have, the support here from the administration and all the things that were going on with it. We always had leadership, we had guidance, we had organization, we had wisdom, we had knowledge, and most importantly was friendship. Remember the professors that we were 18, 19 years old, a lot of professors at that time were in their late 20s, early 30s. So we had a camaraderie with those professors and things like that. And to this day, we still have that. We don't see one another as often, but it's really important. You know, it's one of those things that play through. Talking about, you know, through the whole thing, and Mr. D, I told you I was going to quote you on this one. Back in 1973, believe it or not, he said he was the chairman of the WCC faculty representative. It says, it takes a variety of things to run a successful athletic program. Administration, athletic directors, and faculty give their time and energy voluntarily. But the one necessary ingredient is you, meaning the athletes. The purpose of athletics is to develop pride of self, dignity of self, to help you carry on in life and become a successful program. And in all the years, then when I started coaching, that philosophy still stood there. And it was all because of that man over there, that when he came out of, you know, I got to talk about Tom, because a lot of people don't know. Tom was the most valuable player of the 1965 Wisconsin Badgers. Didn't I get that right? 2018, James White, he held the record for the longest run from scrimmage, 91 yards, right? And James White beat you by 2 yards, so 50 years later. So he was drafted by the Detroit Lions. I think he was the 150th person taken in the draft. He was taken in the 10th round. Went to the Detroit Lions, and unfortunately he had an injury that kind of shortened his life. And he went back to school. And then he was hired here in 1968. So you can take a person that's been ingrained, and I should say he came from a small little town, Two Rivers. And so here's a person that came in, started the soccer program. He says, I don't know the first thing about soccer. He went to UWM in 1973, went in a lot of people, big soccer name, Dietmar Kramer, out of Germany, ran a program. He got his A license, and we went through the whole program. So through this whole time, he was bound and determined. He was competitive, he was knowledgeable in the whole thing. So, you know, without that, I don't know if we'd be sitting here right now. I know soccer would probably be a big thing, but would it ever be, you know, to the program? When you look at all the trophies, and not that, you know, gauge that by the trophies, but you can see he started a successful program and stayed all the way until they took athletics away from the school. And if we still have it today, it'd be very important. So that man is to be thanked for, and you know, if you get a chance, go out and thank him for that. I got one last thing, and I'm just going to say one last thing. You're like my wife, you know. I'm going to give you some homework. This is really interesting because when we were doing this, I'm not a talker, believe it or not, but I thought, well, I really don't have anything to say. And then all of a sudden I went back, all these articles and stuff from all that time, and I started looking at that. And I was about this close to going into, when I graduated from high school, I was about this close to going to Milwaukee. And I wasn't going to play soccer, because at high school I played soccer. I wasn't that good of a player, I was average. And I figured, okay. Well, then I saw what tuition was. And my parents said, I think it was $225 a semester for tuition back in 1973. And my parents said, well, why don't you come out here? So then I played soccer. On Tom's first team, we had 3 players that were in to soccer and everything along that line. So again, I'm going to give you a little homework tonight, and just think about, you know, if you would have changed, and I'm sure people say, well, what if you wouldn't have done this? It's like, well, yeah, last night I probably shouldn't have had that extra beer. Not that. I mean, seriously, you would have changed some things, because had I decided to go to Milwaukee, I wouldn't be here now having this, you know, this great evening with everybody. So if you think about it, I wouldn't have known any of these professors. I wouldn't have known all the extra people. I wouldn't have gotten to know Deb, as she was when I was coaching. She was doing the whole thing. I probably wouldn't have all these good close friends I have along that line. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say this. I probably wouldn't be married to the lady right there after 46 years, because we got together. They had this spring fling. Remember the spring fling? Yeah, 1973, and she was with another guy, and she wanted to get rid of him. And so, you know, we started going out for a while, and it took me 5 years to convince her to marry me. Well, now we've been married for 46 years. So, had I not been at the university here, gosh knows, I don't know what would happen. Dave Humor is no longer with us, and Debbie, thank you for everything. How many of you guys got these? You remember you handed these out? These were letters that we would give them back when we were playing different sports. So I still have it.
Thanks, Mark. And then our final speaker is Tom Griggle. Tom?
I want to thank Debbie very much for all her reflecting back, when we started, every coach that I had was a faculty member. They did not receive a dime. They did it, they volunteered their time. We had Peter, who now is deceased, was a music instructor. He was a wrestling coach. Yes, we had wrestling. John was assistant wrestling coach with them.
One of the only wrestlers right here.
We had Claire Baylor in volleyball. Claire was English, now deceased. That team was the first team in our history of the college that got a conference championship. We had Joe Diamante. Where are you, Joe? Joe was our tennis coach. Joe was a professor of chemistry, and he served as a tennis coach, and then for his longevity was also the faculty rep until he retired. Roger Peterson retired. Roger, a math professor, took over the tennis program and served tennis for many, many years. When Joe retired, Roger took over the faculty rep position. Realized the faculty reps ran the athletic programs in the 13 colleges. They were concerned about the GPA, the eligibility forms, and all those other things. They were like my godfather. I had to do what they said. And I had two excellent faculty reps volunteering their time to help us out. Many of you remember Dave Huner, Dr. Dave, historian. Dave helped me with the women's basketball team. He also helped with soccer. Dave passed away several years ago. And then you heard about from Marv about Sam Saad, the mushroom man, biologist. He would bring in puffballs when they were ripe, cut them up and serve them to his students. The word got out, and the community would come in with various mushrooms for him to identify it. He has messed us up. So the point I'm making is that these faculty members realize the value of athletics and how athletics changes lives and how athletics is a proving ground of how to be a better person. The other point is that if you look at the list of coaches, many of our coaches were prior student athletes on the various teams that we had. Marv, soccer player, soccer coach. I can go down the line and make that comment. So those two elements prove to me that we must have been doing something good on this campus. Now, your booklet on the front says the last shot. I'm talking to Debbie. What does that mean? She said, oh, we're going to lower a basket and have you take a free throw. I don't think I could shoot a ball with my shoulder. She said, oh, we'll use a woman's basketball. I said, no, we're not going to do that. But I have a shot or two to make. In 2018, we were told by UWM that we are going to sunset the athletic program in 2020. Sunset. What a wonderful name term that was. I don't know who they were trying to get college, etc. But it was devastating to me. And then, in 2023, we were told that we are going to close the campus. We are going to take down the bricks and mortar. We are not going to exist anymore. That is a reality. That is happening. One thing that they're not going to take away from me or any one of you is the wonderful memories and the partnerships and the friends that we've developed over the years.
I guess the foundation is going to come and say a few words.
Hi, I'm Joan Rudnitsky, and I'm the Executive Director of the Washington County Charitable Foundation. I have notes, they're brief, so this will go pretty quick. All the speakers ahead of me have pretty much done a wonderful job of what I'm about to do next. And I wanted to say that even though the school is closing its doors, you will all keep UWWC in your hearts with all the memories you've created as part of this wonderful athletic program that was created and led by Tom and Deb. And I don't think they know this. As a token of our appreciation, the Washington County campus for the Washington County Charitable Foundation would like to present something. We'd like to present these two chairs that have been personalized to commemorate Tom and Deb's leadership and dedication to UWWC's athletic program. Tom and Deb. Tom's chair says in recognition of your outstanding leadership for UWWC's successful athletic program. Deb says in recognition of your outstanding leadership for UWWC's successful athletic program. In closing, Courtney mentioned earlier that Tom created a scholarship for called the Tom and Kathleen Brigham Health Science Scholarship. The scholarship is awarded to a student who was entering their third year who was pursuing a career in physical therapy, athletic training, nursing, and medical sciences. Has anyone here received one of the Tom Brigham athletic scholarships? Okay. And as you might know, all the proceeds from tonight's event will be donated to build the Brigham Scholarship. When we get to that point, if you didn't win an auction item and you would like to participate in helping us build the Tom Brigham Athletic Scholarship, when you leave tonight, there'll be envelopes at the door, or you can make a gift with a credit card, and you can help the foundation as it continues to do its work to provide scholarships for Washington County students. And then lastly, see, I have notes so that I don't get confused. Lastly, this event is called Last Shot. On May 23rd, and some of you already have this information, we are doing another big party here to celebrate the 55-plus years that the school has brought so much happiness to this community. And there's flyers, okay, that you can get when you leave, so please grab a flyer.
So this is pretty much our program for tonight. I'd like to thank the foundation for their financial support. A huge shout out to Judy Steppas of the Washington County Insider for her efforts in promoting this event for us, and she came and she even helped set up for me on Wednesday, so thank you so much, Judy, for helping. And finally, I'd like to give out a huge thanks to Courtney O'Connell for helping me with this, her time and her efforts. I couldn't have done it without her, and so thank you very much. So it's been a pleasure coaching all of you for the last 52 years. Enjoy the rest of the festivities. We are going to give you a couple minutes yet to go in room 101 and 148 if you want to make some bids. And hopefully in about 6 minutes, then we'll have it all put together, and hopefully by 8 o'clock, we can make some announcements. So thank you again for coming. Enjoy the festivities. Go and see Sarah and have another beverage. Thank you.
You're watching a live broadcast of the Last Shot event here at UW Washington County. This live broadcast is brought to you by American Commercial Real Estate. Since we're getting a good signal here, let's go over by where the photos are. Deb Butschlick put this together along with her grandson. She emptied out all of the photo albums that she had from the athletics, which date back to when the school started in 1968. And everybody who came tonight had a chance to take these photos with them and give them a good home. Here's some vintage. And we'll have a wrap-up on tonight's event later on at WashingtonCountyInsider.com. Again, this live broadcast brought to you by American Commercial Real Estate.